हेलो एवरीवन, जय हिंद एंड वेलकम टू द प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ श्रीराम IAS। आप सभी का स्वागत है श्रीराम IAS के प्लेटफॉर्म पर। एंड इन टुडेज सेशन विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द ड्राफ्ट सीड बिल जो कि आपका जो है बनाया गया है एंड अल्टीमेटली व्हाट आर द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज, और साथ ही साथ यहाँ पर कल्टिवेटर्स और कॉर्पोरेट्स के लिए यहाँ पर क्या इसके लिए आपका जो है देयर इज अ controversy that is going on, उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे। and plus we'll be talking about why it is why the farmers are saying that it is it is favoring the not the cultivators but the corporate sector। उसके बारे में भी यहाँ पर बात करेंगे और बहुत सारी चीज़ों के बारे में बात करेंगे जो कि आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है फॉर योर अपकमिंग एग्जामिनेशन इन यूपीएससी, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली जो भी इस तरीके की आपके टॉपिक्स होते हैं दे बिकम वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर गवर्नेंस एंड पॉलिटी एज वेल एंड फॉर द एनवायरमेंट एज वेल, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी। ये बहुत सारी चीजों को लिंक करता है, ठीक है। दिस लिंक्स लॉट्स ऑफ aspects of your UPSC preparation, so that is why this topic is very very important for your upcoming UPSC examination। लेकिन आगे बढ़ने से पहले let me tell you that we are offering you with free 1:1 mentorship, जहां पर आपको if you are encountering any doubts, कोई भी डाउट है, कोई भी क्वेश्चंस है, कोई भी आपको प्रॉब्लम है, तो आप डिस्कस कर सकते हैं हमारे ट्रस्टेड मेंटर्स के साथ एंड दैट इज कंप्लीटली फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट। आपको सिर्फ ये करना है कि डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में जो वी हैव दी गूगल फॉर्म उसको आपको फिल करना है एंड आवर मेंटर्स विल गेट इन टच विद यू, ठीक है। सो दैट इज व्हाट यू हैव टू डू। ऑलराइट, नाउ मूविंग अहेड टू द टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन, जो आज का हमारा जो टॉपिक है फॉर द डिस्कशन एंड दैट इज द सीड्स बिल 2025। नाउ व्हाई दिस मैटर्स, ये आपका क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है और इसके बारे में हम आज क्यों बात कर रहे हैं। सो द फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट व्हेन इट कम्स टू द एग्रीकल्चर वैल्यू चेन, तो द सीड्स दे आर द फर्स्ट क्रिटिकल लिंक, क्योंकि अगर सीड्स ही नहीं होंगे तो आपका जो है एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन ही नहीं होगा। Alright, so that is the main important thing. When it comes to the agriculture productivity, we look for the seeds, और seeds जो है वो आपका I always tell that vegetation can be of two types, and here we are talking about the artificial kind of vegetation। agriculture की बात करें जिसमें seed बहुत important होता है, and when we are talking about the seed, the quality of the seed, it directly influences the productivity। वो सीधा सीधा productivity को, जो farm productivity है उसको influence करती है, and when it influences the farm productivity in turn influences the rural income and even the national food security। तो again this is very important topic, and साथ ही साथ अगर हम बात करते हैं आपका, तो it shapes the preservation of indigenous varieties। जो हमारी indigenous varieties हैं that we grow when it comes to crops, उसके लिए आपका काफी important है, and also for the climate resilient crops, because अगर मैं बात करूँ आपका, तो we have been talking about the climate change। इतने सारे topics, इतने सारी lectures मैंने आपके सामने लिया about the climate change, and it is impacting the agriculture as well। So ultimately we need such type of seeds that will thrive and that will lead to better productivity when we are encountering the climate change, ठीक है। तो उसके लिए भी काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है, एंड ऑल्सो देयर इज अ सेंट्रल टेंशन दैट इज बिटवीन द क्वालिटी कंट्रोल एज वेल एज द फार्मर ऑटोनॉमी। बिकॉज अगर हम बात करें आपका, तो सीड्स जो है, जो हमारे देश के किसान हैं, जो फार्मर्स है, व्हाट दे डू इज दैट दे कल्टिवेट देयर ओन सीड, एंड इफ द सीड्स विल बी इन द हैंड्स ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट, alright, so ultimately that will be a burden on the farmers। so जो farmers की autonomy है, where they cultivate their own seeds and they have their own seeds which are grown, वो, और साथ ही साथ आपका कॉर्पोरेट या क्वालिटी कंट्रोल, उसकी क्वालिटी कंट्रोल के बीच में एक सेंट्रल टेंशन है जो कि आपका अगेन इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड दैट इज व्हाई दिस टॉपिक मैटर्स in today's session and even for your UPSC as well। Alright, अगर हम बात करते हैं आपका, तो here I told you that the farmers union and the farmers also, they have called this law or this act, the seed act or the seed law, that is proposed law, so farmers have called this as a corporate driven। However, when we are talking about the government is emphasizing on the quality as well as traceability। इसके बारे में बात करेंगे कि how the government is emphasizing on the quality and traceability, as well as when we talk about this complete law that would be if implemented, so it will be a complete overhaul after the 1966 Seeds Act and even after the 1983 control order that was there। Now when we talk about the background of the seed laws that were there in India, so पहला सीड लॉ वॉज सीड एक्ट इन 1966, और इसने जो 1966 में जो सीड्स एक्ट लाया गया, ठीक है, इट हैज एस्टैब्लिश्ड प्रॉपर सीड सर्टिफिकेशन एंड इवन द क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स फ्रेमवर्क फॉर द सीड्स। इसके बाद देयर वाज इन 1983 सीड कंट्रोल ऑर्डर, जहां पर जो सीड डीलर्स हैं और जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नेटवर्क है उसको आपका रेगुलेट किया गया इस ऑर्डर के साथ। एंड नाउ वी हैव दिस ड्राफ्ट बिल जो कि आपका प्राइवेट सेक्टर की ग्रोथ को रिस्पॉन्ड करता है, जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर प्लेयर्स है, इवन हाइब्रिड्स एंड जो जीएम क्रॉप्स है और डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन की यहां पर आपका बात हो रही है, इसके बारे में भी अभी चर्चा करेंगे। ठीक है, नाउ व्हाट ट्रिगर्ड अ न्यू बिल एंड क्यों इस बिल को लाने की जरूरत पड़ी। ठीक है, व्हेन इट कम्स टू द सीड, सो देयर वर 26 लाख सीड सैंपल्स व्हिच वर टेस्टेड एनुअली, and out of these 26 lakh seeds, thousands have failed the quality standards जो कि आपका quality standard होना चाहिए, and there had been rising incidents of counterfeit जो आपका नकली जो seeds है, counterfeit incidents had been there and also that have devastated the farmers as well। कई बार ऐसा होता है कि farmers जाते हैं seed market से and they purchase the seed and ultimately जो आपका growth होनी चाहिए या फिर जो आपका जो है crop है वो fail हो जाती है, and then again that is a burden on the farmers income as well। Alright, now over here again there is a modernization need as well। When it comes to the national traceability system, so there have to be a traceability system जहां पर seed origin और उसके distribution को track किया जा सके, and there have to be uniform standards across state so that we can eliminate the regulatory gaps, and that is why this has triggered the new bill that has been proposed। Now, what are the key features of this draft seeds bill that has been proposed in 2025? तो जो इसके जो features हैं, सबसे पहला है that there is a mandatory registration। Mandatory registration whenever जो seed varieties है, जितनी भी seed varieties है, they have to be or they must be registered before the commercial sale of the seeds। Then there is digital traceability as well। ठीक है, यहां पर QR कोड बेस्ड सिस्टम जो है वो आपका बनाया गया है, वेयर द सीड्स हैव बीन लिंक्ड टू द ओरिजिन, कहां से उन सीड्स का ओरिजिन हुआ है, उसका बैच क्या है, उसकी क्वालिटी डेटा क्या है, ये सारी चीजें जस्ट बाय ट्रेसिंग द QR कोड, आप सिर्फ QR कोड को स्कैन करना है एंड देन यू विल कम टू नो अबाउट द सीड वेयर इट हैज बीन ओरिजिनेटेड, कहां उसका ओरिजिन हुआ है, कहां वो सीड जो है वो आपका उसकी पैदावार हुई है, साथ ही साथ उसकी क्वालिटी क्या है, क्वालिटी चेक्स क्या है एंड कौन से बैच का वो सीड है। तो एवरीथिंग इज लिंक्ड टू द QR बेस्ड सिस्टम एंड देयरफॉर देयर वुड बी अ डिजिटल ट्रेसेबिलिटी एंड आल्सो सिंगल रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर मल्टी स्टेट ऑपरेटर्स। बहुत सारे ऐसे सीड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द प्राइवेट सेक्टर, सो देयर आर सो मेनी सीड सेलर्स, ठीक है, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में, एंड for every state they have to have another set of regulations and साथ ही साथ अगर हम बात करते हैं तो they have to register themselves, but over there would be a national accreditation जहां पर single registration होगा for the multi state operation, so that will ease the corporate expansion and the private sector in the seed sector। Now when we talk about the farmers' rights, so what all farmer rights have been protected under the bill, कौन कौन सी राइट्स यहां पर प्रोटेक्टेड है। तो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दी फार्मर्स, दीज आर द प्रोटेक्टेड एक्टिविटीज कि जहां पर वो अपने खुद के हार्वेस्ट से दे कैन सेव देयर ओन सीड। ठीक है, तो इसमें आपका फार्मर्स को घबराना नहीं है कि आपकी जो ट्रेडिशनल राइट्स हैं टू सेव देयर ओन सीड वो आपसे नहीं छीनी जा रही हैं, दैट हैज बीन प्रोटेक्टेड। जो आपकी ट्रेडिशनल होता क्या है कि जब भी कोई क्रॉप ग्रो की जाती है, ठीक है, व्हेनेवर अ क्रॉप इज ग्रोन, सो अल्टीमेटली आफ्टरवर्ड्स व्हाट हैपेंस इज that after the growth of the crop, so there is some batch of the crop जो कि आपका रख लिया जाता है for the seeds purpose, उससे आपका seeds जो है next harvesting के लिए वो आपका seed जो है वो आपका निकाली जाती हैं। Over here the same has been done, जो आपका जो protection है that has been provided to the farmers that they can save the seeds, जो seeds है उनको अपने harvest से वो आपका save कर सकते हैं, they can use and resow फॉर द फ्यूचर सीजन्स एज वेल। जो अपनी सीड्स उन्होंने आपका सेव किए हैं उसको आपका जो है फ्यूचर के लिए भी आपका यूज कर सकते हैं, यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं, उसको सो कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, एंड ऑल्सो दे कैन शेयर द सीड्स विद द नेबरिंग फार्मर्स एज वेल। होता यह है कि गांव में आपका जब हम गांव की बात करते हैं, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द रूरल इकोनॉमी, सो देयर इज शेयरिंग एंड केयरिंग व्हेन इट गोज विद द रूरल इकोनॉमी। ऑलराइट, तो वहां पर क्या होता है कि आपका जो है एक दूसरे के साथ शीट शेयरिंग की भी यहां पर राइट्स जो है दैट हैव बीन प्रोटेक्टेड इन दिस बिल, एंड इवन the exchange within the farming communities has been protected for the farmers. So all these protection have been provided to the farmers. These are the protected activity. But over here, one more important thing that have to be noted is that the farmers जो उन्होंने अपने harvest से seed को cultivate किया है, they won't be able to sell it. They cannot sell the saved seeds under a brand and under a name. So when it comes to the exemption, it remains unclear for farmer-led seed cooperatives and for the community banks as well कि उनके लिए आपका क्या किस तरीके से आपका जो है will have the protection और साथ ही साथ regulation क्या होगा. तो इनके लिए जो farmer cooperatives है, farmer-led seed cooperatives है and for the community banks, the bill is not clear about the protection or the regulation that they will have to face. Now over here there are certain penalties and enforcement as well. जब हम penalties की बात करते तो there are for the major offences the fine can be up to 30 lakh rupees plus 3 years of imprisonment for the violation. ठीक है, इसी के साथ साथ अगर हम बात करें आपका there had been strict measures against unregistered varieties and also for the substandard seed sales that is there, and there will be enhanced inspection, expanded testing labs will be there, and also digital tracking mechanism had been laid down, and these are the penalties as well as how this seed law, when it will become a law, right now it is a bill, so the seed law when it will be implemented, how it will be enforced. Now there is value for cultivation and use trials as well, which is called as VCU trials. Alright, VCU trial is value for cultivation and use, VCU trials. So when it comes to VCU trials and testing, over here there had been a methodology that had been laid down that there would be multi-location testing across different or diverse geographical conditions. As we all know that India does not enjoys a kind of you can say that all the terrain is not equal, and we have different type of climate that exist in India. Alright, and I will say that all the type of climate exist in India, not just one. We have all the different type of climate that you will find in India. So when it comes to India, and when we are talking about India, we have diverse geographical operations and we have diverse geographical climate that is there. So over here, जब भी हम बात करते हैं VCU trials की, तो जो VCU trials है उसके लिए मल्टी लोकेशन टेस्टिंग जो है वो यहाँ पर दी गई है कि that will be done across diverse geographicals and also multi-season evaluation for the consistency as well. Alright, we have certain crops which could be grown in different seasons. Alright, we have different seasons when it comes to agriculture. We have Rabi season, we have Kharif season, and also the Zaid season is there. But at the same time when we are talking about certain varieties of the crops, like for example rice, the rice in India is grown in all the 3 seasons. It is grown as a Kharif crop also, it is grown as a Rabi crop also, and as a Zaid crop also, and that depends upon the region where we are talking about. Like for example in Odisha the rice is grown throughout the year in all seasons. So therefore there will be multi-season evaluation for the consistency, and even there would be a standardized performance matrix that will be laid down for the VCU trials. At the same time, there is a critical concern that the system will favor the uniform hybrid varieties, and in this manner the traditional varieties can get lost. Alright, and at the same time it reduces the regulatory space for indigenous and traditional seed system, and that is a concern when it comes to the VCU trials or the value for cultivation and use trials. Now, what is the government's rationale behind this particular bill that we are talking in today's session? Now, when it comes to this bill, it ensures the farmers access to high quality seeds, and also the certified seeds that will meet the rigorous standards. So there would be a quality assurance that is being provided to the farmers that उनको जो seeds मिलेंगे वो बहुत अच्छी variety के होंगे. At the same time, it will reduce the devastating crop failures which are caused because of the bad seeds or because of the counterfeit and substandard seeds. तो अल्टीमेटली इसकी वजह से जो लॉस होता है अगर खराब सीड है उसकी वजह से जो लॉस होता है, तो उसके लिए देयर वुड बी अ लॉस प्रिवेंशन एंड आल्सो इट विल ट्रांसफॉर्म इंडिया सीड इकोसिस्टम with digital traceability and the unified standards that would be there. So this is the government's rationale. But at the same time, I told you that the farmers have laid down their concern that this is basically this complete bill, it favors the corporate. It has been written for the corporates and not for the cultivators. And this is based upon the down-to-earth report that was published in yesterday's edition. All right. Over here, what are the farmers' concerned? They are saying that the community seed keepers may be treated as commercial entities. Alright, जो community seed keepers है, जो आपका there are community seed keepers, वो उनको एक commercial entity की तरह treat किया जाएगा, and ultimately then they will have to go through the complete standardized protocols which have been laid down. इसी के साथ साथ they have concern that the indigenous and traditional seeds will they will be marginalized. Marginalized मतलब जो आपका market में होगा, there would be more of hybrid seeds and private players will have more say and their seed will be more, they will be more in the market as compared to the traditional and indigenous seeds which are there with the farmers. And also over here there is another concern कि जो regulatory framework है that favors the industrial agriculture over the small scale farmings. And these are the three concerns which have been raised by the farmers. Now, this is very important because when we come to the farm law, all right, there had been various, बहुत बार ऐसी कोशिश की गई कि जो farms law है उनको लाया जाए, even with the Congress government and with the present government also, that is led by Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji. All right, so over here there are certain concerns which have to be taken care of. The first concern is of the weak compensation mechanism. There is a compensation mechanism that has been laid down. But at the same time, there is absence of farmer-friendly compensation process in the event of seed failure. अगर seed failure हो जाता है तो farmer के लिए या farmer-friendly कोई compensation process जो है वो that is not there, so there is no recourse or no simple recourse. At the same time, the farmers must approach the courts, all right, because this is a law. And if this law is violated, then the farmers will have to approach the courts for the justice, and that will be expensive and even time-taking process for the smallholders. And at the same time, when we talk about the previous draft bills, they have offered stronger compensation clauses and dispute resolution, which is not present in the right now the seed bill that has been tabled. The next concern is about the digital traceability burden. Now, when it comes to digital traceability burden, there will be every packet that will need digital tags. All right, there will be a QR code system that has been implemented, or it has been not implemented, it has been said that will be implemented when this bill will be a law. At the same time, there would be a continuous online record keeping as well, and also the complex digital compliance will require a proper registration. So all these three steps have to be there. But at the same time, when we talk about the digital literacy, when it comes to the farmers, when it comes to the rural economy or the rural background, digital literacy is not that much over there. All right. So the small rural seed producers, they lack the digital literacy and also the reliable connectivity that we have in the rural region. And ultimately, there would be increased compliance costs that will create barriers for their entry into the seed markets. The third concern is about favoring the big corporate companies or the big seed corporations that are there. The national accreditation, it simplifies pan-India operation for the large companies and laid down the ease of expansion. At the same time, the VCU protocols, they favor the hybrids and even standardized varieties over the local seeds. Why? Because I told you that when we are talking about the VCU trials, they will be conducted across diverse geography. All right, diverse geography. But at the same time, when we are talking about the local seeds, all right, the local seeds will thrive under the local environment. So ultimately, which seed will be favored? There would be favoring, or the more of the seeds that will be favored will be the hybrids that will be favored, and the standardized varieties would be favored because they will pass or they will clear the VCU trials that will be there. All right, at the same time, the climate resilient local varieties will face displacement. All right, we have certain varieties which grow very well in certain regions. They are climate resilient for that particular region. Like for example, if you are growing some variety in desert region, so that variety is adapted, or it has naturally adapted itself for the desert-like conditions. You cannot grow that same variety in the Himalayan region, right? So there would be a different variety that would be favored over there. But at the same time, when we are talking about the VCU trials, what will happen? That there would be the climate resilient local varieties, they will face displacement by these hybrid varieties that will pass the VCU testing that will be laid down, and ultimately what will happen is that we will have monoculture cropping system that would be there. So this is another concern when it comes to the new seed bill that has been proposed. Another concern that has been raised is of the foreign entry and even of the biopiracy risk. Now, when we talk about the open door policy, this bill authorizes that the foreign organizations, they will be able to conduct the VCU trials in India. All right. And when it comes to the foreign entities that they will be able to conduct the VCU trials, what it lays down is that there would be rapid pathway for the international biotech companies to enter the Indian market, and there would be GM and gene edited crops or the seeds that will be tested in India. Ultimately, what will happen is that there would be weak safeguards against the misappropriation of Indian traditional varieties, and there would be a risk of genetic resources being patented abroad, and that will lead to germplasm, or that will erode the germplasm protection that we have. So ultimately, this is another concern that we are talking about right now. Now, when it comes to the federalism and the implementation gap, so we know when it comes to the policy, all right, or when we talk about the 7th schedule that is in the constitution. So 7th schedule lays down there are 3 different lists. All right, we have union list, we have state list and the concurrent list. So over here, when we are talking about the agriculture as a subject, agriculture finds its mention in the state list. All right, and over here we will have different infrastructure that will be laid down for the seed network. We will have the testing labs, trained inspectors, certification agencies and the digital infrastructure as well. Now over here the states, they worry about the centralization as well as the loss of the regulatory autonomy that they have, being the agriculture as the state subject. At the same time, weak enforcement capacity, it will lead to the high risk of the regulatory failures that will be there. So ultimately this is another concern of the federalism of the act that will be if passed. All right, so that is another concern with the new bill that has been introduced. Now over here, when we talk about why this debate matters or why this new seed bill that has been introduced, it matters. It matters because of the economic vulnerability of the farmers. Right now, when we are talking about the rural economy, the farmers, they are not, they are under a burden. When it comes to the crop failures, we have severe, this year itself, we have seen that there was severe climatic event or we can say the monsoon was very erratic, and that had led to the failure of crops at lots of places in India. So ultimately the farmers, they have or they are undergoing through the economic vulnerability right now. All right, we are talking about the food security and we want our nation to be self-sufficient in the food security as well. At the same time, there is genetic heritage that is at risk, and that when the gene edited crops and the GM crops will enter into the Indian market, that will have impact on the agro biodiversity as well. At the same time, there is need for the resilient seeds. We need resilient seeds because the complete globe is undergoing through the climate change, and therefore we need such seeds which are drought resistant. We need such seeds which can be planted where we have severe water conditions or waterlogging conditions. All right, so we need such seeds. We need seeds that will be able to withhold the pressure of the climate change. We need the climate resilient seeds in the future. And also there is a debate when it comes to the ownership module, that who will own the seeds, whether it will be the market or the community, and also the innovation balance has to be done when it comes to the technology and vis-a-vis traditional knowledge or the traditional society that we have in the rural economy. So over here, all these things, when we talk about the new seed bill, all these things have to be kept in mind, and that is why this debate matters right now. Now, for your UPSC, this connects lots of themes together. It connects the environment, all right? It connects the environment, it connects agriculture, it connects the topics like food security, rural economy, and even the biodiversity conservation. At the same time, it connects your GS paper too, where we have governance, we have framework, regulatory frameworks, as well as center-state relationship and the federalism that the topic touches. At the same time, the GS paper 4, where when we talk about the ethics, we talk about farmers' welfare, we talk about corporate influence and the intergenerational equity. So all these topics have been touched over here in this particular topic. That is the new seeds bill that has been proposed. Now over here, if the question has been asked in your UPSC, how you should structure your answer. Alright, how you should structure your answer, you should go for the background first. What is the background and the context in which the question has been asked. You have to write, you have to start with the introduction, then you have to tell about the key features of the bill, then advantages. What are the advantages if we bring out this bill, and ultimately the concern and the criticism of the bill. And then you have to balance. And this balance has to be a positive balance, all right? Balanced way forward, what should be the, positive balance and the positive outcome that we will have if this bill will be introduced. Now, what are the way forward, the 7 pointers that I will give you, how we can reform these things. The first thing is that we have to simplify the compensation. All right, there has to be a compensation that have to be talked about when we are talking about new seeds bill. Over here, we have to create accessible time-bound mechanism in the event of the seed failure. All right. At the same time, we have to protect the community system as well. We have to have the explicit exemptions when it comes for the seed banks and even the small-scale producers of the seeds. At the same time, we have to have lighter compliance. All right. Lighter compliance in form of reduced regulatory burden for the rural as well as traditional seed actors, and we have to safeguard the biodiversity where we should have a robust protection clauses for the indigenous varieties as well as for the germplasm. At the same time, we have to strengthen the infrastructure. We have to build the state level testing labs and monitoring capacity, and have to have inclusive VCU trials where we have to create space for the traditional varieties as well in the testing protocols. And then we have to have continuous consultation with farmers, along with farmers, with the scientists and the civil society that will have a complete stakeholder dialogue, and ultimately we could have a better seed bill in the future. So that could be the reform agenda that we can have. Now, when it comes to the new seed bill, it focuses on the seed quality. The quality has been focused with the modernization of the seed regulation, where we have the QR code system that have been integrated, and that is one of the feature of the new seed bill that we have spoken about. There is equity concern where there are new barriers for the new or the small producers and even for the communities which deal with the seeds when it comes to the rural economy. And also there is a critical balance where the farmers fear that there will be a corporatization of the seed market while the government emphasizes on the standards. So now over here, when we talk about the new seed bill, you have to think and you have to see that the outcome depends upon the 3 pillars that we have. We have 3 pillars. We have the farmers, and along with the farmers, we have to have implementation quality, the protective safeguards, and along with this, the inclusive consultation with the corporate sector, with the farmers, with the civil society, with the scientists, and that will lead to a complete balanced outcome of the new seeds bill. Alright, so that would be all. But before going, let me give you certain questions so that you can brainstorm certain ideas on the basis of this particular video, the particular topic that we have touched in this video. Now, it comes to these questions. You have to ask these questions. Does the bill strike the right balance between regulation and the farmer's right? Should India prioritize hybrids and GM seeds or invest in local resilient varieties? Or Will digital traceability empower farmers or create new forms of exclusion? At the same time, how can state build capacity to enforce this complex regulatory framework? So these are certain questions where you have to have your thoughts ponder upon and brainstorm the ideas, brainstorm your thoughts and write it down, because this is how you clear UPSC exam. All right, till the time you do not think yourself, till the time you do not train your mind to think yourself, then you are in a very tight space. All right, so that would be all in today's session, but do not forget to like this session and also share this session with your friends who are preparing for UPSC Civil Services, as well as subscribe to the channel for more such future updates. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Jai Hind. I'll meet you again tomorrow at the same time, that is at 1 p.m. Thank you. Jai Hind.